everyone, this is going to be a super short channeling that I received on the Divine Masculine as I was chatting with a friend and pulling these cards. I wanted to share it with you guys because it feels important. Do make sure that you're checking out the Sacred Union Energy updates as well as the sacred channelings over on both of my YouTube channels for more on this energy. Okay, this is very specific to the Divine Masculine energy. Take it for your relationship or take it as it resonates for you within. So the first two cards I pulled was the Five of Swords and the Six of Swords in succession. So the Five of Swords, I recently heard the Five of Swords interpreted as making a mess of things, and that's exactly the energy. It's no coincidence that I heard that when I did, because that's exactly the energy that's coming forth here. This is what it feels like. It feels like I've made a mess of things. That was kind of coming through with a little bit of regret in some of the past Sacred Union energy updates we've done. A little bit of regret, but this Six of Swords really feels like cleaning it up. Moving forward, gaining clarity, calmer waters. It feels like there's a lot of chaos in this Five of Swords. Five of Swords for me is internal conflict. It's ego versus the heart kind of energy. But that can make a mess of things. That can bring about a lot of confusion, a lot of chaos, a lot of conflict. And I feel like these Divine Masculines, where they had made a mess of things because they were too much in their ego, spiritual or otherwise, now they are trying to move on. They are trying to move out of that energy. And I do feel like they are making the transition out of that energy. So then we received the Page of Swords, the Knight of Pentacles. I'm going to talk about these two cards first. And this whole road, to clarify, was a progression. The first card that came out was the Page of Swords, and I said, look at how fierce and determined he looks. He looks like he's just ready to charge forward, but he's the page. And so it feels a little bit immature, it feels a little bit young, it feels a little bit like unsteady. But then we got the Knight of Pentacles, and this really does feel like a progression. Determined, young, decided, learning how to find their balance, learning how to stand on their own 2 feet. And they are, in fact, determined to do this. They are focused on themselves. They're focused on their growth. And that is for Divine Masculines through their own material world. So that could be finances, that could be career, that could be home life. Whatever that is, their growth occurs in the physical plane, in the very physical plane. That doesn't mean that they don't do healing modalities. That doesn't mean that they don't do clearings. That doesn't mean that they don't do inner work or processing or journaling or whatever it is like a lot of Divine Feminines do. It just means that Divine Masculines process a little bit differently. And a lot of what they process, because they are so grounded in the physical plane, the masculine energy is grounded in the physical plane, they do a lot of their processing through a hands-on approach, and that's what this really feels like. Then we got the Four of Pentacles, and I said to my friend, oh God, oh God, what are you blocking? What are you still holding back? But that's what's clearing, because the next card that came out was the Ten of Swords, and I want to point out all of the tens in this spread. You even have the World being one of completion with the 2 tens there, being one of completion, moving forward. So there are a lot of transitions that are happening here, a lot of movement that is happening here for the Divine Masculine. And like we've been channeling in the Sacred Union energy updates, we're not seeing everything. We're not seeing everything occurring, and I feel like they might not even be aware of the depth of transformation they're currently going through. But there is a death and a rebirth that is happening here. It is a dissolving of the ego. I'm going to say that differently. It is an integration of the ego and understanding of themselves. And so where they were holding themselves back, they are really putting the effort in to let that guard down, to not hold everything in, to not suppress themselves. This is the feminine energy within them that is rising, that we had been channeling, especially in the most recent Sacred Union energy update, Conscious Connection. Make sure that you're checking that out on my official YouTube channel. And I have more on that energy on my sister channel as well, so make sure that you're checking out both readings. But they are really working on this and not wanting to suppress this anymore, because that was a false paradigm. That lack of communication, that lack of being able to express, all comes from distorted feminine energy. That comes from false beliefs, that comes from past patterns, that comes from trauma and past experiences, and that is what they're working on unblocking. And I do feel like it is coming to an end. I'm also getting the energy here, and this is a something new message that I received. This really feels like they had been betrayed in the past, which forced them to guard themselves and not open up their heart, to close themselves down, especially when it comes to communication and expressing themselves, especially when it comes to their emotions. And so when they block their emotions, they block their whole life. So they could have been experiencing struggles in home life, in relationships, in finances. It's because when you block one part of yourself, you block it all. And so they had experienced this betrayal in the past, some kind of trauma, heartbreak, pattern, belief, whatever it was, that had shut them down. But by shutting them down, they shut themselves down. They kept repeating that cycle, that they kept repeating that belief, they kept repeating that trauma response or that trauma pattern. But that, I feel like, is coming to an end, where they're not wanting that for themselves anymore. They don't want to betray themselves anymore. They don't want to abandon themselves anymore. They don't want to hold themselves back anymore, because they're recognizing that that was a trauma response. They're recognizing that that was a false belief. They're recognizing that that is toxic energy, and they don't want to be in that energy anymore. So they really are working on cleaning up the mess, moving forward, moving into calmer waters for themselves, their lives, and this connection, and wanting to charge forward with clarity, with communication, with stability, with groundedness, really focusing on themselves and their life. And like I said in the Sacred Union Energy Update, the more they focus on themselves and their life, the more that's having a positive impact on their connection. So I do feel like they are doing this transformation, or undergoing this transformation, with themselves in mind, with their own inner feminine energy that they are really connecting with. But as they connect with their own inner feminine energy, that is naturally connecting to you, because you are their counterpart. You are the feminine energy that resides within them. You're just embodying that in the physical plane. So then we have the Seven of Cups, the World, and the Ten of Wands, and this again is endings. The confusion that they were experiencing, that I don't know which way to go, I don't know which option to take, I don't know what opportunities to hold on to, just a ton of confusion in their mind. And this was coming from this energy. This was coming from the ego versus the heart. They weren't listening to the heart. They weren't listening to the intuition. They were blocking their feminine energy. They were still in that distorted feminine energy, or holding on to that distorted feminine energy, which was blocking them from becoming the conscious masculine energy. Because once you surrender to the feminine energy, then you allow the conscious masculine energy to really take root. And so there was a lot of confusion here, but I do feel like they are seeing success. They are seeing some kind of completion. Again, this is that death and rebirth energy. Some could have been going through a dark night of the soul or a depression. It doesn't feel as heavy as that. I feel like they've kind of passed that cycle, but there is a cycle that is coming to an end that was a little bit heavy. That burden really being put down, not carrying the weight of their past anymore. They're receiving this cosmic clarity. So their crown chakra is becoming open, they're having heart expansions, and they're learning how to really take responsibility and ownership for themselves. Rather than putting all these wands down where it was a very heavy burden, what I'm actually seeing is them scooping it up, and not in a way of carrying the weight of the world on their shoulders, but they're like, these are my wands. This is where I need to take ownership. This is where I need to take accountability. This is where I need to take responsibility for myself, my actions, my choices, and thus the consequences of those actions and those choices. So then we move over to the Devil card, and I asked, what is this Devil card? Why is this showing up? It hasn't shown up in a really long time. We have the Two of Wands, the Eight of Wands, and then the Hierophant here. The Devil energy feels like old attachments, and it feels like temptations to those old attachments or codependencies or whatever it is. So beliefs, mindsets, patterns, behaviors, addictions, whatever this is, I feel like this might be cropping up a little bit to tempt the Divine Masculine to kind of regress. Not tempt as in, it doesn't feel so negative. It doesn't feel like it's like the darkness kind of drawing them in. It just feels like a test. It feels like an initiation. Have they taken responsibility for themselves? Have they mastered themselves? And so these Divine Masculines are kind of at a crossroads, having a decision to make. Am I going to go back into the old version of myself, or am I going to recognize my own self-mastery? Am I going to recognize that I am worthy, that I am lovable, that I am loved, that I am supported, that I am connected to myself, to God, even to my divine counterpart. But again, this is all internal. This is all them recognizing the soul of themselves first and foremost. This is them coming into their inner union, their inner recognition of themselves. Am I going to repeat who I was in the past, or am I going to be willing and courageous enough to go forward, to move forward? Am I going to move on to the next version of myself? Am I going to level up? And the answer is yes. The answer is yes. These divine masculines, I want to say 99%, are choosing to move forward. And the Hierophant here being an awakening card, being in a higher level of ascension card, they are choosing to move forward into the higher level of ascension. So there is a major transformation that is coming through. I feel like the Lionsgate energy really ramped up this energy for both counterparts. I feel like the new moon energy really shifted the energy even more. And the 9-9 portal was a gateway activation that we just had, was a gateway activation. There could be some tower moments coming in. There could be some breakthroughs. Tower moments are just breakthroughs. That's all it is. It's just a shake-up to really shake you into the next version of yourself, to shake you into what needs to be changed. So it really does feel like we are moving into the next phase. Do make sure that you're checking out the Susan Dawn Ascension Connections, the Ascension Sacred Channeling that I just did, because there's a lot more on this energy from the higher level, from the Ascension standpoint, the timelines that are shifting, union that is coming in over these next few months in the physical. As we shift these timelines, as we do this work in the physical into the year 2022. So make sure that you're checking out all of the readings that I am posting over there. All right, I'm sending you guys so much love, so much light. We'll be back with some written channeled messages later today. So make sure you're staying tuned to all of my social media platforms. Send you so much love, so much light. We'll see you later. Bye.